Workers from the state hospital in St. Peter took to the picket line today to speak out about working conditions at the facility.
Aaron Stuvey picks up the story and has the state's response to workers' concerns.
It's really hard when somebody tells me that a dollar sign is worth more than my own safety to go home to my family.
Friday saw workers from the St. Peter Regional Treatment Center picket for their working conditions.
Kind of feels like a tale as old as time.
It's not the first time that area healthcare workers have organized against the administration of state-run medical programs, as the workers say that some of the issues have been ongoing for years.
We wouldn't be out here in sub-zero weather if things were better.
Picketers say problems at the height of discussions include unreliable payroll and benefits, contractual disagreements, overtime policies, and more than anything else, safety. Many workers report problems with the handheld radios in the facility, citing incidents where the radios have malfunctioned, putting workers at risk.
We were told that we were supposed to be escorting patients to and from groups and stuff like that, but when the radios aren't necessarily working, what happens if one of us gets attacked? How are we supposed to call for help?
The radio problems in particular have been a sticking point for years. While workers say that OSHA has gotten involved, the problems have persisted. In a statement to KYC, the Minnesota Department of Human Services, which runs the facility, said in part, quote, "We value their input and meet regularly with our labor unions to address staff concerns. We're working in good faith to find solutions." In St. Peter, I'm Aaron Stuvey.